Mark,
Hey, Paul.
it's twice in 1 week.
That's
Um,
twice in 1 week.
exactly. We are back. Do not adjust your YouTube. We are back. It is Thursday morning, but we are back to catch up on our absolute power. We're going to take a look at Superman number 17 and Wonder Woman number 12. We're going to do that right after this. Before we get started, don't forget to make sure that you hit the like button. Leave us a comment, let us know how we're doing, and hit the subscribe button so you're and the alert button to your notification bell so you're alerted whenever we upload new content. Because as you're finding out right now, we don't always do it on Monday morning, so we do it whenever we feel like it. So don't forget, if you haven't already, head out to cbcawards.org. Scroll down, find all the categories that have Legion of Comics, and vote for Legion of Comics. So there you go. It's like 5 different categories, so you got to search him out. But he's out there almost. He's there a lot, so that's good. He
And be
deserves it.
sure to vote for At Week Sin with me and Paul.
Um, we're going to take a look at 2 comics again to catch us up. We are going to look at Superman number 17 and Wonder Woman number 12. Let's start with Superman number 17.
Jamal Campbell is back.
Exactly. And as much as I love Jamal Campbell, I can't wait for Dan Mora to come on here as well. So coming on right after this.
I'm really, really loving Jamal Campbell on this title. I just
Yeah.
get those classic Superman adventure vibes. It's just
And
works so well.
from the very first panel where we have the old Superboy logo in the very first panel, and we see Superboy, and we basically he is getting beat up, and he basically says, "You know what? My mom made this cape."
He is thrown through a sign by Kid Warlock just to let us readers know that Superman has a weakness to magic. He's vulnerable to magic.
Right. And then we switch back to underneath where the Justice League Dark had been hiding out for a long time.
Yeah.
And he was wondering, why Amanda Waller hadn't been there yet. And Zatanna basically tells him that it's kind of hidden, and if you don't know to look for it, you wouldn't necessarily know it was there. But Wonder Woman basically has sent them there from Themyscira, and we do some quick catching up of everything. Superman is in his Kryptonian suit, the black Kryptonian suit, which I can't get enough of that suit.
He's also in his fields because when we just left him, he had to fight his son Jonathan, who had been taken over by the cyborg apparatus that Amanda Waller fed him, and then he had to fight his dad. So he's in his feels about that. And Zatanna has a touching moment talking about how she took the death of her father not too well back in the Swamp Thing. What was it, issue 50?
Yeah. Yep.
The annual or something? Anniversary issue, yeah.
The anniversary issue number 50.
He went out terribly, holding her hand too, just like lit on fire and melted. Wild stuff.
Right. And so, Superman is, basically, throwing punches to let out his anger. And that's when, Zatanna basically pulls him back and says, "Hey, you know what? I understand what you're saying, but we pretty much got bigger fish to fry right now, basically."
And those bigger fish take place in Metropolis, where we cut to at Supercorps, where Peacemaker and Peacewrecker are reporting to Amanda Waller that, hey, we lost all the people we sent us to get. In the last issue, we saw Lois Lane come in wearing a mech suit and save Luthor, Luthor's daughter, Jimmy Olsen, Livewire, and they're reporting that they got away. We got ambushed. They hit us fast. They hit us hard. We don't know what to do.
Right. He says, someone showed up in an armor. We don't know who it was. And then we, flash the very next page, or if you saw last issue, we know who the person in the armor was. It's Lois Lane, who will be Superwoman coming up in the future issues.
Spoiler alert. But we catch up with her as well as the people that she saved, and they're hiding out in the apartment in the middle of Metropolis. They're all like, "How'd you get that suit?" She catches them up like, "Yeah, I didn't know what was real, what was fake. The news has been hijacked. AI is running programs, feeding people lies. But it said that Superman got shot. I didn't know what to do. Went to Supercorp, found the suit, came in to help," kind of thing. And that's where we all catch up. And Mercy Graves comes walking in the window, catching up as well. Now the gang's all back together, save for Superman and Jonathan, who are off doing other stuff. But Mercy points out, hey, I tracked you here via the suit. You might want to lose the suit, because Waller can also track the suit, and Lois quickly does not do that and continues the conversation.
Right. Also, there is Lex Luthor, Jimmy Olsen, Siobhan, the Silver Banshee. They're all there. And actually, it's kind of funny that at one point they're talking about the person that Lex Luthor was and everything, and he's like, he would have been able to help us. He was like, he did this and he did this, and the Lex Luthor, current Lex Luthor, who, if you recall, has no memory, says he sounds like a great guy, and they all just look at him and go, right.
That's such a great moment. He's like, I really wish I had my memories back so I could help y'all. It really sounded like I was a good guy. And you get a dead silent panel with all of them just looking at him. And Jimmy going, right, moving on.
Yeah.
But we cut back to Zatanna and Superman, who are walking through the magic labyrinth and working their way through the underbelly of the Justice League Dark's headquarters, which is only accessible to magic users, and both of them are tapped out of magic. Superman, obviously, but Zatanna is too, so they're having to tread carefully. They're trying to get through to get this spell book they can hopefully use to get some powers back to some of these people. And right now they're walking through Swamp Thing's entryway into the Parliament of the Green, where they run into Amanda Waller's foot soldiers that have managed to work their way through there and look around, and they found it. They're lighting it all on fire. So they fight for a while, no powers. Superman's throwing hands, Zatanna's throwing knees, and they work their way to the center of this little green entryway to find this tree where she has the book hidden. They get the book. They cast a spell because the book is left by the Queen of Fables. Shout out to the Harley Quinn show. If you want to know about her in her worst, be sure to check that show out. But they get the book. They say the little spell, and they teleport to the Oblivion Bar right as the book gets burned by the flamethrowers of Amanda Waller's shock troopers, basically. So that book is toast.
Right. Everyone in the Oblivion Bar still has their powers, because if you recall, it was attacked actually by one of the Amazos, but he actually went off before he actually did anything with all the people that were inside. Basically, they're just sitting there. The people that are in there hiding, right?
They're hiding. They're waiting for this all to blow over to claim the ashes of what remains when it's over. Bunch of
right,
wusses.
and that's when Superman basically calls all of them cowards.
Literally.
Exactly. One of them's exactly. So
look at that panel, that artwork. Look at that finger. Can you imagine how you would feel if the Man of Tomorrow shouted above everyone, pointed that finger at you and said "coward"? Oh, that would sting. Like ugh.
One of them steps up, and rather than offering his services, basically says, "Hey, you know what? I'm going to take care of Superman now, because I know that you're vulnerable to magic, and you basically have no powers right now."
Yeah, Kid Warlock, the character from the opening page of this book when he was a youngster. He's now all big. He's big. He's super big, and Superman don't care. The guy goes to start some trash, and Superman quickly punches him right in the throat, so he can't cast any spells, like throat punch. And then Superman just taps him like 1, 2, 3, pieces him out and throws him across the Oblivion Bar and says, "Who's next?" Pointed out, I've always been vulnerable to magic, just like I am right now. Let's throw hands. Like, it does not back down. It was such a great scene.
Right. We then basically we see this character kind of off panel, or when he is on panel, we see just kind of his mouth or whatever. Someone who's smoking. I thought it was going to be John Constantine. I really did
too. Even Carter Z.
Yeah, exactly. Who is basically offering some help, but he needs to make a deal. And so we find out in the very last panel on the last page that it is none other than Neron.
He has the map of Mordru that they are after to find their way through this uncharted magic realm to get their powers back.
Yes. And, as we know, heroes that make deals with the devil doesn't always work out that great for people.
Do you think that by the end of this, Superman might not have a vulnerability to magic for a while?
Possible.
Like, depending on where this story goes?
I wonder if they're going to undo his marriage. It works for Spider-Man.
One more day.
Yeah.
That story broke so many people's hearts.
Mm,
I
yeah.
wish I cared.
Um, yeah, I mean, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see where they go with that because, like I said, I mean, if they're gonna make a deal with the devil, I'm sure Neron's gonna want something obviously pretty important, pretty big in order to help them. It'll be really interesting to see, exactly what his terms are for the deal. So can't wait for that. And then this, oh my God, this
Holy
so
potatoes,
good.
Tom King is killing it, my man.
Mm. Call it what you want. Call it good cop, bad cop. Call it carrot stick. Call it whatever you want. This is just amazing.
So the premise of this issue is Damien and Diana are together and they're tasked with going to find the prison camp that Amanda Waller has all the heroes and villains that have been depowered held at. Go get them, free them, do something, save them, rescue them. And they don't know where it is. So we
Right.
start this issue with them discussing how to extract that information from somebody who does know where it is. And they're clearly talking from a very close camera shot. It's like right on their faces. And they're talking about the method in which to do it. What would Batman approve of? What wouldn't he approve of? Damien's rough and rugged methods versus Diana coming from the total opposite. And we cut out to see that they are doing Damien's method,
Yeah.
dangling Captain Boomerang from the invisible jet, dragging him through the ocean, just right on the surface. And he's refusing to talk, saying every cuss word you can imagine, calling them every name in the book, and it's clearly not working.
Yeah, and he tries. They try to get him, and that doesn't work. So then we switch to the scene where they're basically having dinner, and Diana's trying to kind of like butter him up or whatever, and say, hey, you know what, you need to do this. And of course, he, being Captain Boomerang, is trying to work his way out so that he can so that he can escape. So he ends up, grabbing the boomerang, to try to escape, but that doesn't work either. And it's funny because Damien is kind of like, this is where we put him through the table. She's like, we're not going to put him through the table.
Yeah, they're the whole time Damien and Diana are discussing the merits of their interrogation tactics. Diana's saying you need to come from a place of love. Damien saying you need to come from a place of fear. You need to capitalize on fear. So Diana's trying to offer him a good meal, just like, let's have dinner. And Damien's like, this ain't gonna work. Let's just smash his head on the table and then just make him talk. And she's like, that's not how you do it. And she tries to appeal to the better part of him, and he just calls her an explicit that she doesn't like. And he attempts to stab her with a boomerang, which she doesn't like. And he calls her the explicit again. So she doesn't smash his head on the table. She puts him all the way through the table. And Damien makes a wise remark like, okay, so we're not allowed to smack him on the table, but we're allowed to put him through the table. And she says, I guess we'll try your method again.
Right? Yeah, your
So
turn.
the whole issue, we're just going back and forth with them attempting.
Yeah.
It's phenomenal.
And it's funny because she's talking to him and she's like, so Digger. I was like, may I call you Digger? It's like,
It is not working. So we cut to, we're on a cliff at this point with Digger hanging off of a line, and Wonder Woman joking like we've already hung him upside down. He's like, well, this is different. This time there's sharks.
yeah,
Hanging him over a feeding frenzy of sharks, throwing his own boomerangs at the line. Like, when you gonna talk yet? You gonna talk yet? Then he accidentally cuts the line. Wonder Woman's forced to dive in to go rescue him. And he points out, I didn't mean to cut it. That boomerang was off weighted. That's not my fault. And while you're
yeah.
down there before a shark bites him, tell him that'd be a good time to tell us where the location is. And he still doesn't give it up. So Wonder
Yeah.
Woman tries a deep cut next.
Right, and Wonder Woman makes the observation that Damien's way seems to involve a lot of dangling
A
upside
lot
down.
of dangling. A lot of dangling.
So what they do is they bring in Digger's son now,
Yeah.
to try to talk him in sweet. Obviously they just by reading it you can tell that they've been estranged. And so they're talking things, and Diana's really hopeful this is going to work this time. And within like a minute and a half or 2 minutes, they're at each other's throat.
You're a terrible dad. You're a terrible son. You left me nothing. You just left me hanging. You abandoned me. Screw you.
Right.
Back and forth. Go to heck. And then back to Damien, hanging him upside down, holding a baseball bat. And Wonder Woman's like, what are you doing? And now she goes, what did she say? God. And back to your turn, and back to more dangling.
Yeah.
No, you don't see it. It's totally different now. because now it isn't the fall that's going to hurt him. And he pulls back a
Yeah.
baseball bat, and she just scoops him up like, nope, we're not doing that. We're not doing that. This is just torture. And Damien responds, well, the first hit may be torture, but after that, the anticipation of the second hit is just fear. And that's what
Right.
we need. I'm like, oh my, this guy is so psycho. He's awesome. He's only
Right.
awesome because he doesn't get to go through with any of this. It's the thoughts, the attempts.
Exactly. Although it seems as though he's about to. In the end, Damien can't go through with it either.
It
And
goes
that's
the better
when
way.
exactly, and that's when Diana pulls him in, gives him a hug, and says that she understands him because that she's the child of a god, implying obviously that
Child of a God too,
right,
right? Like
right,
implying that they're both in that similar situation. But it was cool in the sense that like he wants so bad to have the strength and the like that nature of his mom, but in the end it's his dad who always shows through, right? Like it was pretty cool.
yep. We then flash to a very short thing of Superman actually.
Yeah, this was a cool part. Yeah,
Hmm.
we flip to just a shock point here where you just see Superman catching like a meteor coming toward Earth, and they're setting a scenario like think like we've always had these heroes, we've always had these crises, and when these crises happen, we look to the sky, and the heroes are there to save us. Right now, the way things stand, the heroes are gone, and I guarantee you there will be another crisis, and when it happens, the crisis will occur. No one will be there to stop it. We have to do something. And we cut and we see who's having the conversation. Wonder Woman is explaining, sitting on a park bench to Captain Boomerang, like, look, you might like how things are going, but if they stay like this, we will all die. Good guys, bad guys, period. This isn't how this world operates. This can't go on like this. And she goes through this whole thing, and he pretty much tells her, "Go f and all of you, Amazon blank."
Which then she basically kicks him through the park bench.
Through the
Uh,
park bench.
and gives him back to Damien so that they can then dangle him at the end of this sewer pipe.
Yeah,
Um,
with the crocodiles are on the
right,
way. I've alerted some crocodiles. We're hanging them here, and they're talking back and forth, arguing over the merits again of love and fear and love and fear. And Digger's just trash talking, cussing, blah blah blah, blah blah blah. He's like, "You piss brain blanks thought I'd give up Waller's prison on Gamora. Y'all are idiots. F
right,
you, da 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 about it." And they're like, "This guy's just the worst." What do you
right,
say? What do you say?
exactly.
Never
He would,
underestimate the stupidity of an overconfident Flash rogues, and that's the moral of this story.
he was a Mixes Pitalik syndrome that did him in.
Yeah, it was so well crafted. Again, the
Yeah.
Tom King structuring to Wonder Woman
Mhm.
is masterclass. It might not be your favorite book. You might not like Tom King as a writer, but you cannot deny the sheer raw quality of what he does, especially in Wonder Woman, where each issue almost has its unique writing technique to it. Just amazing, amazing comic book. Every month when this drops, I'm just blown away.
Mhm.
Every month.
Absolutely. Um, and so that's where we are. The backup story again really has
Trinity.
nothing to Trinity has nothing to do with the main story. Kind of a cool idea. As if you've been reading the backup stories, it's been basically the Trinity, Jonathan and Damien and Trinity, basically they've been moving back and forth through time and everything. This one jumps way into the future. We get the infinite Mongols that are there that they're fighting, and so that's going to carry over to the next issue. But
I held
Trinity,
off on reading these. I think I'm actually going to pick because they do these Trinity backups and then they'll put them collected once, like like 10 issues come out,
yeah,
8 issues. I think I'm going to just shoot for the collected one to read it because I don't like this. Uh, with it being an actual ongoing story for
mhm,
because it isn't like our typical ones where you get like 3 backup stories will equal like a one shot kind of thing. This
mhm,
is an ongoing thing for Trinity, so I'm
right.
definitely going to just I read all the backups and then I cut it when they got to the second arc. I'm like, I'm going to wait because
Yeah,
it
and
just plays better than this more.
Tom King has been quoted as saying that he almost, in some ways, he enjoys writing the backup story than he does the main story.
Yeah,
So,
and it's Trinity. It's a new character, and we're getting to see like Damien grown up wearing the Batman suit that we saw in Batman 666. We
mhm,
get to see John Kent grown up. We get to see the dynamic with them two is fantastic. Like
mhm.
it's such a good read. but I want to get the most out of it. So I'm just doing the hold off thing at this point.
Yeah, these were two phenomenal tie-ins. Um, Next week we have Origins number 2. We have Task Force 7 number
The Flash.
5. Yeah, the Flash, and we have Green Arrow.
Velocity is his name, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Velocity.
Yep. So we have those three next week. So
Big
come
week.
back for that. Again, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell so you're alerted whenever we upload new content. Hit the like button, leave us a comment, let us know how you're doing. Are you enjoying Absolute Power? Are you just waiting for it to end to get to Absolute Comics? What are you doing? But that's going to be it. As always, I am Paul. He is Mark.
But we are Legion.
And you're now leaving Sector 2815.